one of my stories that I had was just so appropriate. And that was that back at the start of COVID, my dad had just died. My brother was visiting me. So we were sitting having a glass of wine, and he accidentally spilled red wine, actually, not that it matters, but wine onto my keyboard of my MacBook Pro, my beloved 10-year-old, maybe 11-year-old MacBook Pro that I had babied along. I loved that so much. I put a new motherboard in it. It had a new logic board. It had new, like, new heart, like new, all the stuff, all the bells and whistles. And I'm like, really? Come on. I love this. And I needed a computer, and I needed it fast, right? Because mine was suddenly kaput. So I went to the Apple store, and all they had at the time, it wasn't an Apple store, it was one of those dealers, Barbara Palantir and On Sound. And so all they had was an iMac that fit the bill for me. So they quickly transferred the information from my old MacBook Pro onto the iMac. And I took home my brand new iMac, and I'm like, wow, I got a new computer. And I get it set up, and I turn it on, and it was crap. I'm like, what's this wheel of death thing going? It's like it was freezing. I couldn't even open up like a picture on my desktop. It was freezing, and it was not, forget slow as a molasses, it was just plain freezing. My iCloud wouldn't work, nothing. And it's like, I couldn't, then the shutdown happened, so I couldn't take it anywhere to get a service. So I'm on the phone with Apple. And I got like first name basis, like of all the Apple technicians, like they escalated it right up to the top of Apple service because they couldn't figure it out. And I even had like their personal email, their cell phone. I'm not lying, I actually did. They were trying so hard to help me. They had the chief iCloud engineers trying to figure out why my iCloud wasn't syncing because they couldn't figure it out. They would do, how they say, okay, so we're going to do this, we're going to do this. They do all their diagnostics. Nada niente, they couldn't figure it out. So finally, lockdown finished, and I took it back to Palantir Computer, Owen Sound, Ontario, by the way. And I said, please, you gotta do something. Like, I can't, this is a piece of crap. And it was past the 90 days, of course. So because of lockdown, so I couldn't just hand back the computer. And I'm like, this is garbage. I can't do anything. First of all, I need a new one like now. So then they had a MacBook Pro. So I got a new MacBook Pro that I just took, and it worked like a charm. And I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe it's just iMacs that are lemons, because my MacBook Pro, this new one, my old one, I love them so much, right? And so they said, well, ma'am, the only thing that we can do with the iMac that hasn't been done is all we can do is wipe it and reset it to factory and see what happens. I'm like, yeah, okay, do whatever, because it's not working right now, and I'm liable to throw this through somebody's window right now. And I'm, you know me, I'm calm, right? So, however, things can happen that get you frustrated. And lo and behold, I get the iMac back, and it's working like a charm. And all they did was reset it to factory. And what happened was that my beloved 10-year-old MacBook Pro had a glitch. It had a programming glitch that got transferred into the brand new iMac. And I was used to the old MacBook Pro running like crap because I always made excuses for it. It's like my baby, it's like 10 years old. What do you expect? Right? But I had different expectations with the iMac. And so, and all of a sudden, once that faulty programming was wiped out, lo and behold, my iMac was like working like a charm, right? So think about our brains as that way. How many times do we have faulty programming? Whether it's that it hasn't been updated, like how many times do you upgrade your phone, its operating system, or your computer? What happens if you get malware or a virus, right? Think of that like the faulty programming that's been downloaded into you that glitches out, especially when you're stressed out, right? What things are causing, just like you can have, I'll call them energy vampires that drain the battery on your computer, right? Maybe you have too many programs running in the background, and I'm not the techie king. So like Bob is, but even I know this part. So what's happening? What's draining your energy without you even knowing it? In the background of your unconscious mind, right? So that's the programming. And yes, your fears are part of the programming. Yes, your victim sabotage patterns are part of that programming. I tease them out because they are so important that I deal with them on their own. And I still say your programming is the most important energy vampire that may be sucking the life out of you and causing you to work slower and slower and slower, just like my old computer, right? Because even with the trauma, your programming will dictate how you respond to trauma. Think about it. So trauma is the other energy vampire, and it's still dictated by how your programming tells you to respond to it, whether you're going to be the victim of your story or whether you're going to be the hero of your story.